Hello and welcome to my second drama vlog. In this week's Frantic Assembly workshop, we experimented with an exercise called chair duets. This is where two or more performers work together to create one long piece of drama while sitting on chairs. This is done by each performer slowly working off of each other's movements and actions, while also incorporating the chairs into our piece, experimenting with how they work and eventually integrating them within the piece. Finally, after some much needed rehearsal time and planning, we incorporate all these different factors into the chair duet until we have our final piece ready to perform. After we were all introduced to the workshop, we all picked partners and went off to create our own separate chair duets. I partnered up with my very good friend Rowan, and after a long time, we were finally able to put this piece together.
This is love. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
At first we just started playing around with various different movements, improvising, just seeing what could work, what didn't, what we might include, what we might not. And from there we formed a small plan and guide of where we were going to take the piece further. We both wanted to incorporate the chairs into our piece, using lots of twists and spins and turns. So our first objective was to figure out a way to play around with the chairs in order to add them to the duet. Rowan was the one who came up with the idea of interlocking our arms in order to create movement, which is what you can see up here. It's obviously quite tricky to move both chairs around the set with just our legs, so this interlocking arms idea became very successful between us, as it allowed us to properly integrate the chairs into our final piece. Afterwards, we played around with the idea of holding each other's hands in order to spin the chairs around, which you can see up here. Afterwards, we then began rehearsing on the movements, excluding the chairs, which strangely were the hardest part. After we had finished performing it for the first time, Becky described the piece as very emotional, describing it how someone would care for a brother or a sister or a friend. Both me and Rowan agreed with the statement. As you can again see up here, the first few moves of the piece are quite intimate. Again, like Becky said, a family member caring for another family member. This wasn't an intentional decision by me or Rowan, but I am glad it was included in the piece, as I feel like it gives it its own unique style and distinctive voice. Afterwards we played on with moving the chairs around, but I'm not going to bore you with that again. So instead I'm going to talk about the extra movements we did once we sorted the chairs movements out. As you can again see up here, both me and Rowan continued with the theme and idea of reaching out and caring for someone close to you, which is very much visually conveyed through these movements. To create a routine of chair duets is challenging enough, but to give your piece a distinctive theme or story or idea behind it, I think is the real proper challenge. The emotion behind our piece was definitely enhanced by the music that was played in the background, which was Imagine Dragons' Radioactive instrumental. I love making things as dramatic as possible, so the music definitely helped with that. Finally, after a little bit more rehearsal time and practice, we put all of these different pieces together and came up with our final product. Personally, this week's workshop was a lot of fun. Working with Rowan was also fun. I'm happy with our final chair duet pieces, and I'm looking forward to next week's one. So thank you for watching, and please stick around for the next workshop.